there's only one emotion in the entire human experience that's categorized as positive. And if you've ever tried to make this emotion happen, you've probably experienced a different feeling instead, like frustration. That's because this emotion can't be chased or held or captured or forced in your mind. It's created precisely the moment that you stop thinking about it. And the second that you try to hold on to this emotion, it drifts right out of your grip. That's the paradox of happiness. My name is Jessica Willis, and I teach emotional intelligence as the pathway to giant brain power, like cognitive speed, agility, and flexibility, as well as intuition. I call this whole mind intelligence, where EQ, IQ, and intuition merge to give you a significant boost in smarts, in your creativity, and a lot more. So if this interests you, hit that like and subscribe for more content just like this. Okay, so now we're going to get into the EQ, or emotional intelligence side of your brain. Here's the baseline. There are just 6 core emotions that make up the entire human experience, and they are anger, fear, disgust, surprise, sadness, and happiness. Every single complex feeling that you ever felt stems from one of these camps. Now, 5 of these emotions exist to alert you, inform you, protect you, or redirect you, or they also signal that you need some better boundaries. And the 6th emotion operates a bit differently. It's still a signal like the rest of them, but it's a signal that what you're doing in that present moment is 100% working for you. It's a signal to keep going in that direction. That's happiness. Now remember that happiness doesn't arrive by us chasing it, as we've already talked about. Happiness emerges as a confirmation that your mind is in fact focused on where it wants to be, not where it thinks it has to be. So when you get these big sweeping feels of happiness or some related emotion like satisfaction, contentment, joy, confidence, optimism, peace, love, a feeling of openness or playfulness, or you're just feeling kind of proud of yourself, all of these are in the happiness family, by the way. Your nervous system is saying you're on the right track. Most people are going to try and treat happiness as a target. But remember, happiness shows up when we're not thinking about it. And anytime you try to force or attempt to manufacture happiness, adds cognitive pressure. The brain's like, must be happy. You see it? It's that very attitude that's going to push happiness away. So it's this weird paradoxical thing that happiness shows up the moment you let it go. Well, how do you let it go? You shift your focus into something that you find meaningful, something that you find interesting. People who regularly experience happiness don't focus on it. They will tell you that they create conditions in their lives that allow happiness to show up. They train their perception. They focus their attention very intentionally. That means they're paying attention to what feels meaningful or purposeful to them. So if you want to get a really good relationship with happiness, you've got to understand this first foundation, that happiness is a byproduct of a disciplined mind. Okay, I hate the word disciplined. It's just so disciplined. So instead, we're going to use the word focused. Try it this way. Happiness is the byproduct of a focused mind. Try it on. When were you the most happy? Like in the last week or so. What were you focused on? Now, when were you the least happy in the last week? What were you focused on? Or did you feel that focus was kind of an issue during that time, like you couldn't get your focus? Or you had too much stuff flooding your brain and focus was super hard to come by? This brings up a point that's sort of endemic to our society and our culture right now. We have a giant issue with focus and attention, and it's robbing us of our happiness. Because you have this thing in your brain called the amygdala, which is in charge of running perpetual threat detection. It's scanning for danger, it's scanning for potential problems and threats, and it's trying to keep you alert to whatever could go wrong at any given moment, hypothetically. This mechanism serves us really well in survival environments where threats mean immediate death or dismemberment, But that same part of your brain is now operating in our mostly safe world. When you're scrolling through social media or you're watching the news and you're unconsciously cataloging everything that's going wrong with the world. You're not focused on one thing as you may think. You're focused on hundreds of things while scrolling your phone or watching TV, all at once, all of which is getting sorted and sifted through by your mind consciously and mostly unconsciously. This means your threat detection system is tracking all kinds of possible points of problematic entry, which is going to make the feeling of happiness feel like it's living on another planet. Your threat detection system is overloaded. This means your mind is going to stay in a problem-solving mode, even if there's no immediate threat right in front of you. There's literally nothing on your doorstep. It's all happening through a screen. So we have to give some credit to your unconscious mind and your subconscious mind, because whatever you feed it, whatever you put inside of its awareness, it's going to try and work out problems in the background. That's what it does. And it's absolutely brilliant at it. This is a big part of where your best intelligences come from. But when you consider that the average person on an average day is consuming massive amounts of information that have nothing to do with their own lives, that big, brilliant brain is working some serious OT to solve for stuff that's basically not relevant. So here goes our focus. You see the problem? Your amygdala can't distinguish what's really in front of you and a threat and what's not really in front of you playing out on a screen. And so that threat detection system in your brain is going to stay on. It's just going to scan. And your emotions are responding to this whether or not you're aware of it. Think about our collective focus as a society has totally been hijacked by many various outlets, all designed to capture your attention and play with your emotions. P.S. If you're enjoying this and you want to subscribe to content that prioritizes substance over engagement manipulation, hit that like and subscribe, maybe share this video now. It's my commitment to create quality content that boosts your intelligence rather than the stuff out there that's designed to rob you of it. Okay, so how do we redirect all this focus and attention back to the emotion of happiness? Well, if you can't beat your internal threat detection system, we join it. We're gonna give it a new job. So instead of scanning for danger, we're going to train it to scan for evidence that things are actually going well in your world right now. Because whatever you tell your brain to look for, it will find it. If you train it to find threats, it's going to find threats. And if you train it to find beautiful things in your world, it's going to find beautiful things. Train it to find success, and oh yeah, you're going to find success and a lot more. But this takes time and it takes practice and intention, but you can absolutely train your mind to find and locate the most incredible things in your world. And that's how you get really smart too. You fix your focus and everything flows from that point. You can start right now by repeating a specific phrase in your mind. And I like to call these phrases anchor statements because they're designed to anchor a new experience into your brain, giving your scanning attentional systems in your mind a new job. And they're really effective. So try this on and write it down. Everything is turning out better than I expect. The sentence is, everything is turning out better than I expect. And before your brain goes, oh my gosh, how cheesy is that? I get it. Keep in mind that this is not an affirmation. It is not forced optimism. It is not toxic positivity. It's attentional redirection. So through that anchor statement, you're asking your brain to filter for data that it's typically been ignoring because it's been on high alert, fearful threat detection instead. When you direct your attention towards a positive deviation from your usual threat detection expectations, it finds something else instead. And with repetition, this anchor statement is going to create actual momentum in your life. You're going to start noticing small wins. You're going to observe yourself making tiny new decisions in the direction of, okay, things are starting to go well, versus constantly preparing for disaster. You begin to collect evidence that contradict your fear-based predictions. This creates momentum in small bites at first, and maybe just like one new thing per day. But over time, your perspective is going to shift. Not because you're lying to yourself about reality, but because you're starting to give equal weight to the stuff that your threat detection system was accidentally filtering out. You just had too many eggs in the "this world sucks and everything is hard" bucket, and now you're training your brain to put a few more eggs in the "maybe I was wrong, and maybe I'm starting to notice a few more things going well for me" bucket. This is easily accessible mindset work, and you can do it simply by reminding yourself of an anchor statement. And if your brain starts fighting you at first when you say it, "everything is turning out better than I expect," and your brain goes, "Oh yeah? How?" Be patient. You've had years and probably decades of practice looking for threats. And repetition is going to create new neural pathways for you. So the more you repeat it, you'll prove to that show me voice inside that this is actually working. And the more proof that you have that it's actually working, the more proof that you have that things are working out well for you, the happier you'll become. And you'll start solving challenges in your life with a lot more ease and a lot more ability and intelligence too. There's one other thing to keep in mind when you're inviting more happiness into your life. It's this: your mind is built to engage with what's directly in front of it, on your doorstep, as I like to call it. So that's going to be your relationships, your work, your immediate environment, your hobbies, your interests, and whatever else that you find interesting and positive. Because whatever's interesting and positive to you is going to move you forward. And what is interesting and negative to you is going to run the real risk of keeping you profoundly stuck, maybe without you even realizing it. Because your mind is not built to constantly absorb big sweeping narratives about problems that are way beyond your immediate reach. They're nowhere near your doorstep. And those are the global problems, the global disasters, the political narratives, and now AI manufactured images of scary events and fake information on a constant loop that's running rent-free in your mind. Consciously and unconsciously, it's going to impact what you think about, and it's going to impact what you focus on, because it's going to activate that threat detection system even if you don't realize it. In time, we may even start to question if the thoughts we're thinking are even our own. How can you tell? If we're filling our mind with all kinds of random stuff designed to elicit fear and threat detection, how do you know that you generated that thought and not something that you consumed? All this to say, I hope you're filling your mind with good stuff, intelligent stuff, stuff that echoes virtues, and things that stand the test of time, that make humanity profoundly inspiring. And from my perspective, it's best to mostly ignore all of that catastrophe stuff. Because if you're meant to influence a situation, it's going to show up in your life directly, and at that point, it's going to invite your participation. And if it does show up on your doorstep, you're going to realize that you can actually make a meaningful impact on it. And if you can make a meaningful impact on something you truly care about, instead of feeling constantly powerless by consuming countless pieces of content that are just fear porn in disguise, you change the game. This distinction matters a lot to your brain. Constant exposure to problems that you can't affect drains hope. It fosters learned helplessness, and it does create a sense of powerlessness over time. So focus on areas where your attention creates tangible results. Build your skills, learn new things, develop confidence in something unique and interesting to you. Direct your energy towards what generates meaning for you and visible impact in your immediate world. And when you know it, when you do this and when you focus your attention, you're going to become so much happier as you do it. So how do we construct happiness more meaningfully and purposefully? Again, happiness builds in a mind trained to look for what's working, what has potential, what's within reach, what's meaningful, and what's interesting and positive to you. So if you're on the road to choosing happiness and you're starting to like ignore all the other stuff that incites all those other emotions like powerlessness and fear, know this: you're not putting your head in the sand where you need to feel guilty for ignoring the noise. Because when you ignore the noise, this is concerning your well-being and the formation of a mental default that benefits you in the long run. It's going to boost your innovation, it's going to boost your creativity, and in time, ignoring the stuff that feels chaotic to you, you're going to find that your brain defaults to feeling good and trusting that your world is going to provide some awesome things for you to focus on. Now, this can be a baseline setting, and it starts with one sentence. Practicing it often. Everything is turning out better than I expect. Your mind is going to prove it to you that this statement is true. So even if the world feels like it's burning, remember that we as humanity have always been moving through some kind of big adversity, one right after the other. If you've ever studied history, there's always some kind of crisis happening somewhere, politically or environmentally or beyond. This is simply the nature of an evolving world. However, we survive and even learn to thrive in adversity when we resist fear-based threat detection thinking. It's how we get our best solutions too. So rather than fear, we're going to prioritize our attention to whatever nurtures our imagination. It creates curiosity and wisdom and resourcefulness, and it builds our skills. We're focused on what we're building rather than what's breaking. Okay, so to recap, happiness is a signal that your mind is engaged with something that it finds interesting and something that it enjoys thinking about. When you feel happy, your brain is saying, more of this, please. So I hope you focus on that by training your attention and giving your threat detection system better instructions. Focus on what's directly in front of you that invites interesting, meaningful participation. It doesn't have to be meaningful to somebody else to be worthy. It just has to be meaningful to you. If this framework changes how you think about happiness and gives you a little bit more clarity about how emotions and your threat detection system work in your brain, leave a comment. I'd love to hear how this worked for you. And remember that the algorithm rewards engagement. So help this video reach more people who are done with fear-inducing content and that treats them like the wildly intelligent and limitless people that we are and truly can be. For more frameworks on EQ and intuition as navigational tools, check out www.intuitionmindset.me. See you there.